Hello and welcome to another retro crazy mini Byte. I think you can tell what this is. It's the Commodore A501 Ram clock expansion for the Commodore Amiga A500. Now, the big issue with these is that bit that says clock. So let's pop this out. It is complete with its manual, still bagged. Because these all eat themselves, unfortunately. And yeah, let's get this open and find out what's going on. The clock expansion uses a battery backed up clock, and the problem is the batteries leak. The batteries leak, they eat themselves and everything else that's attached to them. Now, Commodore in their wisdom put them in this hard metal case, and we have 3 solder tabs to be able to initially start getting this apart. This side is fine, and as long as we can break these and get them all off, hopefully we'll be able to get this apart. So for this, I'm going to be using my big chisel tip because I need to get a decent amount of heat in this if I'm going to stand a chance of getting these to come apart. Now with that done, I'll be able to clear the holes in these a lot easier. And I'm just going to clean up all of this residue here to allow these to actually come through. And there we go. And there is exactly what we're talking about. Look at the circuit board. It's green, it's being eaten. Look at the fur that's building up. Yeah, much longer, and I'm not sure we'll be able to salvage this. Luckily, a lot of the pins are still nice and shiny. The solder is not too bad. So it seems to have been just in this area that the worst of it has taken place. Horrible, horrible, horrible batteries. Notorious for this. So let's get this stupid thing off straight away. And with that off, you can just see how green that board is. So I'm going to take a note of this cap, I'm going to lift it off, I'm going to clean up all of this, and then we need to stop this corrosion going any further. And that's all of this corrosion. And we're going to do that by brushing on some white vinegar. That will neutralise the contents of the battery that has leaked everywhere, and then we will flush with a lot of IPA, isopropyl alcohol, and that is to basically wash off the vinegar, because if you leave the vinegar on, guess what? The same thing will happen. Underside of the board is actually not bad by comparison, but yeah, I think we caught this at the right time. He said hopefully. Alright, let's get this done and see what happens. So that's now all done. A lot of heat needed to get through that ground plane. and even the screen print there was coming off. Not so great. I did take this component off purely and simply because, well, it was kind of corroded as well. These resistors are also corroded. Let's see if I can get away without lifting them, but I got a funny feeling they are going to need to come off, just so we can get back as far as possible. Next up, I think, is going to be a bit of a vinegar bath. So here I've just got some white vinegar, and I'm going to use a toothbrush to apply it and look at the bubbling. Look at the reaction. That's all corrosion. And while the bubbling was quite vicious up here, it stopped very quickly because a lot of it was just surface, but it's ongoing here, exactly where the battery was. So unfortunately I've just got to keep working it in, letting the vinegar do its job. And because this is such a big ground plane, I'm just going to assist it with the fibre pen and see if we can get some of this off. Now this is the varnish from the circuit board, the conformal coating, and that will allow everything to get properly under, and there'll be a huge chunk here ready to lift because it wicks along. And that's it starting to break off. You can just see how much damage this causes. That corrosion's just all underneath. Now yes, this is quite a destructive method, but you have to have this off. If this is not off, it doesn't matter what repair you do, it's just going to continue to corrode, and you'll just end up scrapping the board anyway. Unfortunately, you've just got to grin and bear it. Well, the good news appears to be that the bubbling has stopped. Applying fresh vinegar, and I'm not seeing any reaction. So that's a good sign. It means that the active corrosion has now been neutralized, but I need to get all of this green off if I can. Now I've got vinegar everywhere. I need to neutralize that. So out comes the good old IPA, isopropyl alcohol, and we're just going to douse the board liberally. Now the isopropyl alcohol will replace the vinegar, but isopropyl alcohol is not corrosive. So it will work its way under everything in the quantity I've just put on, and will start to evaporate. And then once it's evaporated, I can continue to work on this green area to stop it being green. Now some of the green is going to be the circuit board underneath. However, a lot of it's still quite dark, and I'm not going to take the risk. All of that's coming off. And there we go. That was a good half an hour, 45 minutes work just to clean that up. It doesn't look like it's eaten through the ground plane. However, what I am going to have to do is obviously check some of the connections and make sure that we actually have continuity on some of the vias as well as everything else. I'm also going to have to give the back a little bit of a clean, but yeah, I'm going to have to check and make sure I do actually have continuity round the board where it needs to be. And apologies, they are working on the road outside still. Unbelievable. So I'm all set up in continuity mode, so that's what I'm looking for. Let's just check some of these and make sure everything's fine. So that's a straight through connection, they're still connected. We should have positive of this cap is fine with the positive of that one. That should be ground plane, which it is, as is that one, as is that one. So this then goes to here, so continuity. This one here, so continuity and continuity. This goes over here somewhere, I think. I thought it did. So where does that one go to? It goes to this one. Yep, goes to that one, just didn't have good connection. So it looks like everything around here seems to be connected. None of the traces are broken. However, I'm going to have to protect this to stop it going any further in the way of corroding, and I'm going to do that with some UV solder mask. So I'm just going to put that on, use a UV lamp, which will sit on. It's annoying because it only runs for like 30 seconds. So I'm going to need to do multiple passes to get that to work, and then we'll come back, put the resistors back on, we will pop our capacitors back on, we'll put the button cell holder, and we'll take it from there for testing. Now we're ready to start reassembly. I've got some replacement caps for these ones. I'm going to fit a standard 2032 button cell battery holder in here. I've got this one to go back on, which is going to be tight, but hopefully it will drop back in where it's supposed to, just in here. Like so. Resistors to drop back on. Now, if you're in any doubt, the button cell has got a positive marking on it, so this outer edge touches and the base is the negative, which is this one. Negative is this one, so it has to go in that way round. So let's get this soldered back up with new components. So that's all the soldering done. I've checked all the connections. Everything still seems to be going where it should. The last thing to do is fit a button cell battery. Now this is a 2032, but it's an ML2032. This is a rechargeable, made in Japan, so fingers crossed that everything works fine. So let's grab a 500. Let's drop it in and let's find out if this works. So there we are, it's now installed. Yeah, I'm kind of hoping this works because I don't fancy blowing up an A500. Kind of like this one. Okay, let's see what happens. Give me a second while I flip it over and connect everything up. So here we are ready for testing. Let's power on and see what happens. Oh, superb. Okay, I didn't break anything. It's running. The memory expansion does not seem to be affecting the 500 so far. I can hear the drive ticking, and we're going to test using Deluxe Paint 3. Now these are my own discs, but I want to do a big shout out to Sparks UK of Gadget UK's Discord for supplying a box with the manual and everything else. Thank you, it's a complete set again. Always nicer to have a complete set instead of just the discs. So cheers Sparks, much appreciated. So let's find out. Needs 1 meg of memory. So let's test and find out what happens. So there we are. We're showing about 1 meg of memory. It's loaded. Let's run Deluxe Paint 3. Oh, I haven't seen this in years. Okay, can we load anything? I don't know if we've got any pictures on here, it's been years. Do we have any samples? Ooh. Although I do have an art disc. Okay, so let's just cancel that. We'll drop this out. Let's check the art disc. And I think I should have chosen them at the top. Oh, hold on, no. What do we got? Ooh. Oh, there's the classic King Tut. Okay. Africa animals, including what looks like a dead zebra. Lovely. Sorry about the glare on the screen, that's coming from outside. So yeah, right up where the zebra is. Let's Okay, I will admit I cannot remember how to work this at all. Can you tell? Yeah, okay. But yeah, amazing. That's working so well. Yeah, and only runs if you've got 1 meg of memory. So, yeah, I'm not an artist. Can you tell? Yeah, not in the slightest. So there we are. I'd say that's a very successful A501 expansion upgrade, but I'm not quite finished, so see you in a second. So that's all working, everything's great, but I've one last thing to do, and that's to drop this back into its casing. And there we are done. So thank you for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next Retro Crazy Mini Byte.